right, welcome to the Fresh Jive podcast. We are now in episode 2. We have 2 amazing guests with us today. First, let me introduce Mr. Fahad Vakil. Fahad, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, brother.
And we have Mr. Ahmad Mehboob. Ahmad, welcome.
Hey, how's it going? I thought I was a co-host.
Ahmad is. You guys are gonna see.
I'm on a 10-day contract.
You guys are gonna see Ahmad as a frequent co-host as well too. But I just want to make sure everybody got a proper introduction first. Fahad, why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself first of all?
Well, my name is Fahad Vakil. I've known Mahroze and Ahmad for over 15 years. Been great friends and.
Ahmad and Mahroze, but yeah.
And I'm just excited to be here. No expectations, just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're excited to have you. This is episode 2. We had Homer and Bilal. Bilal is actually Ahmad's younger brother. So we're keeping in the family. And Fahad, honestly, you're like family to me as well, too. So, we're really excited to have you here.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I feel very honored to be here. And I really do feel like family, man.
No, amazing. Yeah. Ahmad, why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Ahmad. I'm a multiple 7-Eleven franchisee. I own a few beef jerky brands. And most importantly, I'm friends with this guy, who's been teaching us, what to do all our lives, ever since we met him at a young age. But let's get the conversation about Fahad today.
Fahad, so, we, from episode 1, we kind of started going towards just profiling, different friends of ours, and we profiled essentially Bilal and his journey into jiu-jitsu. And the next thing I was like, hey, who else can we profile? And honestly, you were one of the first names to come to mind. And just from knowing your background in business and all the different things you've done, I was like, hey, this is going to be such a great conversation to pick your brain, and especially for our viewers to kind of see what you've been through in terms of your life and your career, and the different businesses you went through in your life. So we wanted to just jump off, and we'll take it back. We're gonna start off from fresh from right out of college, and kind of go through your career essentially.
When did we meet you? We met you.
Well, we met when I was in college. I was, I don't know, maybe early 20s, 21, 22, and
living in Berea.
Right. Yeah. We actually met on the basketball courts.
We did.
Yeah, man.
How do we meet?
So for the viewers,
Mahroze loves the story.
So for the viewers, we will just make sure we bring it out so it'll be on public domain record for eternity onto this podcast in the ethers of the internet, right? Myself and Mr. Ahmad Doggy Dog over here, we're playing basketball at the Cal State Fullerton courts. Shout out Tritons, is it? Right? Or Titans?
Titans.
Yeah. Man, my bad, Cal State Fullerton.
In the kinesiology building upstairs.
Ooh, Ahmad, that's a secret. We can't be just, those courts are going to be overrun. We were playing ball, and me and Ahmadsky were just destroying everybody left and right. I was a relative unknown at that time. Ahmad would bring me out. And then walking in were 2 big guys, and
No. Before that, we played with Rajdeep.
Well,
who was a regular who was playing with us.
Shout out Rajdeep Roy over here.
A good friend of ours. And then he would always tell us like, "Oh, you guys are cool, but there's just 2 brothers, who really get down.
Yeah,
they're dunking, they're laying it up.
Oh yeah, he hyped you guys up.
Yeah.
To be fair, I didn't really get a chance to properly stretch before we played that day, but
I'm sure that was it.
And if you beat them, they beat you up afterwards.
No,
they're known as bullies,
So we're playing ball, and I see these 2 big guys. I mean, there's not too many taller guys out there. You and your brother, Mr. Asif Akil, who I'm sure we'll have him on a future episode on the podcast. Everybody will get to meet him. Comes walking in, and we're gonna look at the new people coming in. I'm like, who are these 2 big guys? And then I was like, all right, they got next. They thought they were so hard coming in with their backpacks, and they're like, all right, coming in, and then I remember Asif, he's the one that was guarding me, and I just lit him up, man, right away. And then I remember you were getting mad at him because he was giving me a lot of space to shoot the three-pointer, right?
I was like, step up.
Exactly, yeah. I shot 2 threes on him, and then he stepped up, and I literally blew right by him. I literally hung in there, and I looked back at him, and laid it up. But that's how we met, and same thing with a lot of our friendships. I mean, it started on the basketball court. And then from
Yeah.
there, I don't even know, like just frequently seeing each other all the time. And
Oh,
Well,
man.
they lived close by, so we would go over their house,
Absolutely.
grab
Yeah.
the pizza place that was there.
um,
God.
well, I don't know if they're a sponsor. I don't know if we can shout them out right now.
Well,
No, it was,
yeah.
Pizza Corner.
Pizza Corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, pizza.
Yes,
With the
absolutely.
original owner, who was like the pizza Nazi.
Dude, that guy was so funny, man.
Yeah, no, what do you mean? It was rude. The pizza was good. That's the only reason we went
Right.
there.
His wife was so sweet. His
Yeah.
kids were so sweet, but he was so tough. I don't know why he was
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
and it was also interesting because he did his own deliveries,
Yeah.
right? You know,
And the prices were never the same. It depends
Oh.
how well you knew you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and the crazy part is, the pepperoni there, the halal pepperoni was beef. The non-halal pepperoni was also beef. Did you guys know that?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, that's what I thought at least.
I think he charged like an extra
Yeah,
$2-3
he
for
charged-
halal pepperoni,
No,
right?
extra $10.
No, not extra $10
It was
for
something crazy.
No, it was extra like $2.
That's why you
Yeah.
always get the regular pepperoni.
Yes. No, I asked him, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's beef." You know, so I was like, "All right." I mean, I every meat is halal, but hey, that's another conversation
yeah.
for another day.
Shout out to our sponsor.
Okay, so college. What was your major, Fahad?
My major was finance and entrepreneurship.
Nice. And why'd you decide that major?
I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and finance was something that always interested me, so I just decided to just kind of go with it.
Okay.
Those are like two concentrations in business administration, so those are just the ones that I picked.
Nice. And was it difficult, or was it...
I mean, as difficult as any college class would be,
Okay.
But I do remember enjoying my entrepreneurship classes the most.
Nice, nice. And then from there, you graduated. What was your next step after that?
You know what? I opened up a smoke shop.
Right away?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. How much time elapsed from graduation to opening up that smoke shop?
Oh, immediately, like within a couple months.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
before you opened it up, I mean, obviously you didn't just come up with that right away, right? How did you get to that process?
You know, I was just always looking for something to do, and a smoke shop was something that required minimal capital investment, and a couple of my friends were doing it, and they were making good money. So I said, hey, why not just get in and make a few bucks?
Who did you have? Who was the first person that you kind of had that conversation with? That hey, this is what you want to do. Like you wanted to pursue a smoke shop. Like, did you have a conversation with your dad, or did you like one of your friends that you?
Oh
owned
yeah,
one?
yeah. So my friend Mahroze at the time, he owned a couple smoke shops, and he encouraged me to get into it. I was just really looking for something to just do at that point. I knew I didn't want to work for somebody. I know I wanted to work for myself, and like I said, it was like a minimal capital investment, so it was something that I could afford at that time to get into. And he encouraged me to do it, so I was talking with him about it a lot. And one thing throughout my whole career that I'm very thankful for is my family. No matter what I decided to do, the most support that I got was from them. Whether it was just encouragement, advice, whatever it was. My parents, my siblings, they're like always like my number one fans, number one cheerleaders.
Of course.
And so when I told them, at first they were a little taken back. My dad, was like, hey, this is what you want to do? I was like, yeah, because a smoke shop is like, I guess something that, my dad comes from, a large corporate business, right? So he was kind of like, hey, all right, if this is what you want to do, go ahead, try it out,
When did you have that conversation with your dad?
After I decided I want to get into it, I did all my research, and I literally found my location.
Oh, okay.
I had already met my suppliers and created those contacts, and literally I was just weeks away from signing my lease. And
then you approached your dad.
and then I told my dad, I was like,
okay.
hey, Dad, you know what? This is what I'm getting into. This is what I'm doing. And he was kind of taken back a little bit, and he's like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I said, yeah. And at that point, he just gave me 100% support. You know?
Awesome.
So
I mean, like you mentioned, your dad comes from a larger corporate background,
Yeah.
right? Did he have any reservations about it? Like, did he?
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, my parents are very conservative, right? So, I mean, having a smoke shop selling cigarettes and bongs and pipes and things like that, and hookahs and all of these things, and he was like, hey, there's a kind of like a gray area there, right? If not a gray area, I don't know. But at the same time, he's like, all right, hey, this is what you want to do, go ahead. You have my blessing and my support.
Yeah, no, just to chime in, I went to something similar where my dad, he created his own business, And then when I told him I wanted to do a franchise, he's like, wait, so you want to work and follow somebody else and follow their rules? And then, and the same thing, being conservative, he's like, wait, so you're going to sell alcohol, right? And then, which led to me, to my first choice, which I chose the 7-Eleven store without alcohol. You know, just, yes, it was to appease my parents, but so part of it was to appease, my parents and just, what I kind of believed in and things like that on how to make money myself. But Total gets you one where even though we might not be as conservative, but we try to still live as or do business as, as what we're taught kind of thing. So I went through the same thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, and this is one thing I love about my parents. Although they're very conservative, they don't like force me or push those things on me. At the same time, they're like, hey, look, this is what we believe in and this is what we feel like you should do. But at the same time, they give me the space and freedom to be who I am. And I feel very lucky to have that. So I had that talk with my dad, my siblings, and, I decided to open up. And another thing that I feel very lucky about is the support from my friends. On the first day on the grand opening, every single one of my friends showed up. I mean, people that don't even smoke were buying bongs at my store.
Wow.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, like me and Mahroze. We were just buying stuff to support.
I mean, it was just incredible,
Yeah.
like to have that and to have that support. And it's a really crazy thing if you think about it, because when you start a business, you're really putting yourself out there. You're taking a huge risk, and the feeling on your first day of opening up a business is terrifying.
Of course.
Right? It's like you work your butt off to get to this point. You do all your legwork. You spend a bunch of money. You have a store full of merchandise. You do all of your marketing.
But it's exciting too, though.
No, it's very exciting. No, of course, it's very exciting.
Because you're thinking of all the potential and none of the downfall.
Yeah. And you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I really hope people show up.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And on the first day, the store was packed.
Oh, launch day is always tight.
Yeah.
Because people come for the free stuff. Discounts.
It was packed, and it was packed with my friends.
Yeah.
And that first day really gave me that motivation, and it got me on the right track to where I wanted to go.
No, that's awesome. I mean, so then tell me about the next few days after. I mean, after that initial excitement, you have busy days. Now it's your brand new store. You have to rely on the regular customers that are going to be coming in from the area. How was that?
So I got a little bit lucky too, right? Because in Chino and most other smoke shops at the time were like a very standard smoke shop. Like, I don't know if you've been into a smoke shop, when was that? This was 2010.
Yeah,
right?
I was just going to say what year
so
was it?
13 years ago.
Okay.
All dim, dark, older person working behind the counter, mostly cigarettes. Random stuff scattered everywhere.
From like t-shirts to like hemp, what those lighter things that make smoke.
Yeah, like Zippos and all that. Yeah.
Or incense and porn magazines, what made you.
So what was your plan to be different then?
Yeah, so my plan was to focus on the pipe side, right? And my plan was to also cater towards a younger crowd, right? And I guess maybe a little bit more hip crowd. Like my store was a little bit different. It was brightly lit. My shelving and displays were different.
It was the Apple of smoke shops.
I wouldn't go that far, right? But it was just a little bit different, Like we got like local graffiti artists to tag up the walls and create artwork and things like that to create like a local atmosphere, and that went a long way for me. I think the community appreciated that, and it was like the first time in Chino. My first shop was in Chino. So it was like the first time Chino had seen something like that, and a lot of the younger crowd gravitated towards that.
But also what you guys were doing is you guys were having the right pieces with the right artists who are blowing up at the time.
And if I recall correctly too, along those notes of what Vlad's mentioning, you had different custom glass blowers as well too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So a few months after, and this wasn't exactly in the beginning, this kind of came as we learned the business and built a customer base and a reputation in the industry too. Asif and Hamza opened up a shop together. And eventually what ended up happening was we all kind of joined teams, and each one of us had a different role in that business. So,
Before you guys combined, you had 3 total yourself,
yeah,
and they had about what 3 or 4 themselves.
3 or 4 themselves, yes.
Correct.
So before we get to when you guys combined your business, talk to me about when you started deciding to open up additional locations. Like, what was the thought process in that?
Oh, my first store did much better than I expected.
Oh.
And it created enough profit for me to just within a year open up a whole another location. So that was the point.
Exactly.
It's like, hey,
you want to grow.
I want to keep growing, and it was such a cool feeling. I remember because I was like going through the whole process, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm doing really well with my one store. I'm gonna open up another one, and I'm gonna become a billionaire.
Yeah.
It's like so exciting to go through that whole process, right?
The Excel sheets are fun when you're doing
Oh,
profit and loss
100%, 100%.
Projections,
Yeah.
just by adding new locations and customer bases.
Yeah, definitely. In theory and in real life are 2 completely different things, right?
Of course.
But yeah, so that was my thought process. Like, hey, you know what? Store number 1 is doing great. I'm gonna go for store number 2.
Keep going.
And thank God, store number 2 did just as well.
But before you opened up store number 2, did you have any issues at store number 1 with robberies, enforcement?
You know what? Yeah, absolutely. I was robbed at gunpoint.
Oh,
twice actually.
really?
Yourself?
Myself.
Fuck.
Myself. Yeah. I mean, I was very involved in the business, so I was there every single day. If I wasn't there, then I was at a supplier.
How often does that happen? Per year?
I mean, at gunpoint, it's only happened twice. Okay. Yeah.
Was it one person?
2 different people.
I mean,
10 years, twice. Not myself, but employees.
Yeah.
No, so the
my
person.
stores got robbed.
No, it's a
Did they ever-
crazy feeling, man.
Did they ever catch the guy?
No.
They never caught.
No, they don't go after them. That's the thing.
Doing an armed robbery. I mean, by gunpoint, you would think that'd be
it
a little
happens
priority.
more often than you can imagine.
Really? And Ahmad, you said gunpoint as well too for you?
Twice.
And you were at the store?
No, luckily I wasn't at the store both times.
Oh man, it's so crazy. So the first time this happened, so we would do cash drops, right? And employees would do cash drops in the safe, and every so often I would pick up and have a backpack full of cash, and I would either take it to the bank or to the supplier to pay my payments. So I literally just emptied the registers, the safe, everything. God, I must have had like thousands and thousands of dollars in my backpack. So I was just about to walk out of the store. I put my backpack down and I was talking to my employee, and the employee was right by the register. This guy comes in, his beanie is like covering right over his head. And he walked in, just kind of strolling in. He had his hand in his jacket pockets, and he flashed his gun right there at my employee, right? He goes, open the fucking register. Just like that, right? So my employer, like, kind of behind the counter, and he looks over at me. I'm standing to his right, and I was like, what the fuck are you looking at me for? Give him the fucking money.
Yeah.
I literally said that to him.
I already knew that.
Yeah. I'm like, literally, like, what are you looking at me for? This guy's a gun. Give him the money. There's like $100 in the register.
Yeah.
So he opens the register, gives him the money, and the guy just strolled out. Didn't run out, nothing. Just strolled out. Little did he know, I had my backpack full of cash by my foot. Right there by the register. I mean, he could have just screwed me.
What if your employee was like, "Oh, should I give him the money in your backpack too?" As the guy's walking out, he stops.
Oh my god!
Sir, wait.
Oh wait, you wanted the money, right?
You got more in the backpack.
You told me to get him. Oh man,
dude! But feeling, my heart was like jumping out of my chest.
Of
like,
course.
We're not laughing at that situation.
No, my feeling. I mean, just my heart was just jumping out of my chest. I'm like, what is this guy willing to do?
I know, 100%.
Right? Because you don't know. I mean, most of the time, like, okay, Pete, they just want the money and leave.
But you don't know.
What if this guy is not mentally there?
Exactly. You don't know what's going on in people's heads.
Oh man, yeah. The second time.
And so the second time happened before you opened up the second location.
Yeah, the second time happened.
Okay.
The second time, it was. Now that I think about it, it's actually really funny. The guy, I'm out alone in the store. The guy came in. He's like buying like a $6 pipe, like looking around, whatever. He picks a pipe. I take it to the register. Out of his pocket, he pulls out this pistol with the gun is like at least like a foot long, you know, and he pulls it out. And he's like, give me the money from the register, right? Again, luckily I hadn't done a cash drop and there's like $100 in the register. But I'm like, oh my God.
But he paid for that $6 pipe?
No, he didn't pay for that pipe. He took the pipe too.
Oh.
He took the $6 pipe and like $100 from the register. But the funny thing is the gun that this guy had. I mean, this guy's gun was like a foot long, you know, the barrel. You know.
Man,
I know.
Crazy people out there.
Yeah, but luckily at my second store, never had that issue.
So you had these two crazy situations happen,
Yeah.
gunpoint, and that still kept you motivated to, hey, let me open up another store.
Oh yeah, man, I was making money, so I was like, hey, you know what? It wasn't something that was like happening every day, right? I mean, we're talking about over a year and a few months, a couple times. That had happened, so I was like, "Hey, you know what? Let's just keep it moving." And hey, this is just a cost of doing business.
Exactly,
you know, people steal, right?
And that's the same thing with 7-Elevens as well, or C stores in particular.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the two crazy gunpoint robberies, but there was other situations where people, "Hey, let me see that pipe," and they grab it and they run out of the store. I mean, that's just the cost of doing business, and you kind of have to just accept that in a retail situation. And the store was making enough money where I was like, hey, you know what? I need to expand and open more.
What about your family when they heard about these gunpoint robberies? Did they say, hey, get out now, sell the store?
No, not at all. In fact, I didn't share that with them.
Really?
Yeah, not till much later.
Got it. And so when you finally did share it, what was the reaction?
You know, my dad, he kind of has a poker face, you know, like you won't see it. I never shared that with my mom though.
Oh,
but of course, you know, as parents and you know,
of course,
you know how that goes.
Yeah, right? It's just gonna get them more worried.
And I don't want to stress them out.
Yeah, every day you go out to the store, they're gonna be like, "Oh my God,
exactly." Like, what's the point? You know.
So to this day, you haven't shared that with your mom?
No.
So, Auntie, if you're watching on the podcast, you know, sorry to have to break this
like and subscribe, Auntie.
Oh man. Ahmad, what about you in terms of like when you've had? I mean, 7-Elevens, like you said, it's common, and even 7-Elevens or C stores. Yeah. Did your parents ever be like, "Hey, this is not safe. Get out"?
Oh, 100%. They still question me to the day. They're like, "Why are you doing it?"
So did you tell them right away when it happens?
Oh no, at all. I mean, no. I mean, I haven't told. Like, I do not.
You don't keep them on the day-to-day, like, hey, but we got robbed today.
But luckily, like, unfortunately, I'm not at the store that much to, like, when these bad things happen, where there's small theft or...
Yeah, you're not putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah, or homeless person trying to fight somebody in the parking lot, or one of my employees, or somebody stealing and running away, or on rare occasions when a person does come in with a knife or a gun and try to threaten, you know? But... Yeah, so
you're not there in the same.
Yeah, thank God I'm not there. But
it's not worth the money that's in the register. You know, you just want to hand it over and keep it moving because
money,
at the end of the day, they're going to stab you, and then what's going to happen? Or if they shoot you, what's going to happen? Right. So a couple $100, or even if there's $1,000, whatever it is in the register, you don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
And as retail businesses, we train our employees to make drops every couple of hours. So it kind of limits the liability that you're in. You know,
of course.
The first time you get robbed, you quickly learn. Like, hey, you know what? We need to set policies to implement loss prevention in whatever ways you can. But it is impossible in any retail business to avoid that. It's so funny. California's laws on theft is insane. There are national chains that are closing their stores throughout California because people will walk in, fill their cart with a bunch of merchandise and walk out. You touch them, all of a sudden they can sue you. You know, it's crazy. The police don't prosecute. They don't arrest them.
People who come in my store right now steal something, and I call the police. They could wait outside, right? And police will come, take them, and they could come right back in and steal again. Yeah, nothing will happen.
100%.
That's insane. And I've seen so many videos like what you're referencing, where people just come running in, and I don't understand what the security guard. What's the point of having security then? they're not doing anything.
Observe and
You know?
report.
No, exactly.
They're
Because
paid to
here's what's
observe
going to
and
happen,
report.
right?
Unless like
grab
somebody
them-
actually comes with a gun or something, like major liability.
Of course.
That's what they're mainly there for.
Okay, so you grab somebody, right? Let's just say they have a cart full of $500 in merchandise, right? You grab them, and let's say you grab them, you push them to the floor, and they get hurt, right? Then all of a sudden that $500 is nothing, right? Now they're suing for tens of thousands of dollars.
And because why he didn't take that product outside of the store, that's for one thing. So he can't be legal. It's not legal. You don't know if he's stealing it unless he's taking that product outside. Right? That's one part.
Yeah.
And even then, when you put your hands on that person, you're more liable for that than actually the product.
So,
that they're
so
stealing.
before we continue on, let me make sure the viewers know this is not legal advice, and we're not providing any type of legal advice here.
Contact MJB Law.
This podcast is a parody podcast, so everything you're hearing is jokes, and nothing is of substantial legal advice here. Let me put a disclaimer out there. One thing that I always think about too, like what you mentioned, they're going to sue you right away if you put your hands on them,
Yeah.
The thing is, there's so many ways. That's why I'm just trying to understand how come nobody's doing something more.
The police don't prosecute too.
Yeah.
Under a certain amount, they don't even give them a ticket. Like they just let them go.
Yeah.
And they know that. Like these professional thieves, they know that.
Professional and not professional. We're talking about homeless people. That they know that, and just a quick scam. I don't know if you guys seen this with the EBT cards. What homeless people do. So on the EBT, you could buy water, right? 24 packs, because you could swipe it. They take that 24 packs of water, empty the water, and take that water. Take the bottles and recycle them for cash. Yeah, and then obviously buy drugs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. So okay. So going back to the situation, you've expanded your empire.
Yeah.
You have 3 locations.
Sorry,
now?
before that, didn't you have a cell phone store?
Oh yes.
Wait. Whoa. Let's take a. Ahmad, thank you for bringing that up. When did that happen?
Oh, so it's the cell phone store. So this is really funny. When right after high school, I went to New York and I worked with my uncle. Okay, my uncle had a chain of 99-cent stores. I stayed there for about 8 months. I worked with him. You
went to New York because.
My parents sent me there. They're like, hey, you know what? We want you to go there and work with your uncle and learn what business is like. Okay. My uncle is one of the most amazing people that I've ever met. His ability to motivate you is just second to none. Just having a 5-minute conversation with him and you're ready to go. The one thing that I learned from him was the desire to work hard and make something of myself. Before that, I was just only interested in hanging out with my friends and partying and just having a good time. And going to New York, and I think this is one of the best things that my parents did for me. My uncle really just instilled that in me. He's like, hey, you know what? As men, we hustle, we work, and we make money, And he created that love for business for me.
Awesome.
So when I came back, I, started selling cell phones at the mall, right? I was working for a company. I forget the name of the company, but I was selling AT&T service at the mall, and I was doing really well.
It was quite lucrative.
Oh, no, it was great, man. When I got to the store was selling like 40 cell phones a month. And I kept working there, and they promoted me to a manager, and we started selling 300 phones a month. So I grew that location, and I was like, hey, man, I'm making this owner a lot of money. Why don't I just do this myself? So I opened up my own cell phone cart in Mission Viejo Mall. And I failed miserably. Within 8 months, I was out of business. I lost the whole initial investment. I was devastated, man.
Oh, no. And this is after high school?
This is right after high school,
okay.
Yeah. I was devastated, man. That was my first failure.
Yeah, and the only reason I laugh is because you have to fail to succeed.
No, man, it was like.
And how much did you learn from that? Right?
I was just gonna say that, and I I love my dad so much. He gave me the money for that business, and I felt so bad for losing the money that he gave me. And not once did he tell me, "Hey, you idiot, why did you lose all the money I gave you?" Instead, he said, "Hey, you know what? It happens. You learn, and you'll do better next time."
Exactly.
Right? And it kind of taught me something. It kind of taught me a lot about what I did wrong, but it also taught me how to take an L, you know, and it was one of the best lessons of my life. And that L that I took in that cell phone business helped me so much when I started the smoke shops, because everything I did wrong, I fixed.
Exactly.
And I was not ready to take another L again. Of
course.
I mean, you guys know me. You know,
Yeah.
you guys have played with me on the court. I'm a competitive guy.
Dude, you've been taking a lot of L's on the court, though.
Oh,
So.
come on, baby.
yeah.
You know what?
we can
I'm
talk
taking a
about-
lot of W's too.
We'll talk about
You know?
those else later.
No, we'll talk. No, but honestly, that's a great point you brought up. 'Cause
Yeah.
you failed in that, and you know that feeling you had
Oh,
from that
yeah.
cell phone store.
No, it doesn't
You don't
feel good.
you don't want to have that feeling
Yeah.
ever again, right?
Yeah, but you know what? Two things I learned, right? One, I don't want to feel that again. But another thing I learned was how to just let it go too. And you know, in work and business and in life, where we all take L's, you know, and if you sit there and you harp on it and you think about it and you keep thinking, oh man, I suck and this and that, you're never gonna want to go out there and do something again.
Yeah, and that's the biggest lesson, honestly, that people don't talk about is
Yeah.
when you handle a loss, right? And what happens when you get bigger? There's going to be a bigger loss.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But as long as you take that risk and you're like, okay, I'm gonna take a bigger risk, and there's gonna be plenty of loss.
Yeah,
Now,
you
I mean-
take that L, but at the same time, like, there's two ways, right? Like, you don't want to take an L, but if you do end up taking an L, you have to learn how to accept it and then move on to the next
How do
one.
you respond to
Well,
that?
exactly.
right?
Absolutely.
How do you respond
Absolutely.
to
It's
it?
so
How much
important.
stress are you gonna take of it? You know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I'll get hit with a lawsuit from time. In the beginning, you're like, oh shit, what the fuck is this?
Right. You
But
get used to
now,
it.
no, but now you know exactly like what it is. I could fight it, or like, am I liable?
It's
Or
you get experience, right?
get
Now
experience.
when you get a lawsuit, now you're not going to be freaking out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one part of it. And then you take it into like sales. You have such meetings that go well, but then you have some meetings that don't go well, right?
Yeah.
Instead of like thinking about, oh my god, like I just messed it up, or like I just lost out. No, it doesn't work out. Not everything works out, you know. But like, and then everything happens for a reason, for a point of view. So
Yeah.
like in order to grow, it's just really managing those losses you take, and how quick you could just be like, okay, just go to the next one, pretty much. But
Absolutely.
obviously you got to learn from them too.
No, 100%. And that's like a two-step process, right? Like,
Yeah.
first, like, you have to go through the process of feeling that, like, hey man, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
You know, I just took a
Yeah.
fat L, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. But it works both ways, because it's such a bad feeling that you never want to feel it again, and it makes you
Exactly.
want to work extra hard to not go through that again, right? And you learn, well, hey, why did I take this L? Why did this business fail? Right? These are all the things that I was doing wrong. I'm never going to do that mistake again.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, interesting. I never knew about that cell phone store.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I learned something new about you.
Well,
today.
you know what? I don't like to talk about it. Right?
No, I mean, I don't see why you should shy away. I think it's a great
Yeah.
lesson, like
No,
what
I-
you just said.
and-
right
and
here.
I'm an open book, man.
Yeah.
And like
you know?
a lesson, like again, hidden gem. Like you didn't even talk about, but that first location, a big thing got to be a location, right? But now when you open your second one, you're like, you just happen to pick a good location without even thinking about it, just because of the experience you just had. Does that make sense, right?
Oh,
Like,
100%.
So there's so many things that you just learn without realizing what you learned. So when you go to the next one, you're like, okay, this location, you know, this is a customer I need. I got to make sure this traffic flow is right, you know. Oh, this is the product I have. Oh, is it going to be just a fad, or is it going to be long lasting? Am I going to invest my lease in like a 5-year lease or something, you know?
Right, no,
Oh,
100%.
am I doing 3-month leases at the mall? It's just different things that you got to burn. But look, like, you know, you just got to burn and learn, and you start doing things without realizing, like, this is not what you're supposed to do.
No, 100%.
No.
That wasn't my first L, and it wasn't my last.
Hey,
Let me tell you.
like
know?
you said, it's learning lessons. So,
Yeah.
fast forward now. You've built your smoke shop empire. You have 3 locations,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
You you combined with Asif and Hamza's.
Yeah. So now we have, at this point, we have 7 locations, and we have an online website,
All under the Pipe King umbrella.
all under the Pipe King umbrella, and that was one of the best things that we ever did. You know,
Considering buying.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
You know, all of a sudden, instead of buying for 3 stores, we're buying for 7. Our cost of goods sold decreased significantly. Our profit margins increased. Our operations changed completely. Asif started taking care of all the purchasing. I was managing all of the stores. Hamza was taking care of the website and the marketing. It was amazing. And everybody kind of took on the role that fit them the best. Right? Asif was very diligent with suppliers and very organized with that. My experience in sales, I was hiring and training and taking care of all of that. Hamza is so good at marketing, and he had some amazing ideas and took care of that, as well as his ability to you know, the technology side, taking care of the website
And design.
and
too.
design. Yeah, no, our website was one of our most profitable assets,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
at the
I
time.
remember when he kind of built that mini studio to take pictures of all the items.
Yeah, he worked so hard and did an amazing job with that.
And now-
So it was like working like clockwork. It was amazing.
So how did that work in terms of, because I remember when you guys had that set up, how did that work? Because you still had 3 of your locations,
Yeah.
and they had 4 of their locations.
Right.
How did that work in terms of divvying up, you know, did you still maintain like whatever
Yeah.
profits were in your locations, and it's the,
That's exactly what it was. So whatever partnerships that they had, you know, they maintained that in their stores. I kept my stores as it was, but we just pretty much divided the workload, and we took advantage of the cost savings on our merchandise, and the website, we just split it evenly.
amazing.
The website came after we merged, so it was great, man. In the beginning, we were making a lot more money. In fact, right after we merged, I think the 8 months after was the most profitable 8 months of my business career.
Amazing.
Yeah,
So sounds like things are going great.
yeah.
What made you guys stop that
Oh,
whole process?
before
No,
that,
no.
one innovative thing that they did, you guys private labeled your own.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
On-
So
on
that
products.
was something that, you know,
Yeah.
I took the lead on. I always believed that, you know, branding and private labeling was going to be the way to profitability for our stores. I met with one of our suppliers, great guy, great quality merchandise, and we private labeled our own water pipes and bongs for our shops.
Amazing.
It was under the name Rockman Scientific. And we made some really cool designs and sold them in our stores. And those were some of our most profitable products that we sold.
Is Rockman still available now?
No, I'm not in the business anymore.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it was at one point an idea to wholesale it, but at that point we weren't ready to take that to the next level, and we just didn't. So the 8 months or so after we merged were amazing. And then we got hit with a change of law. See, our whole marketing plan was towards college, right? 50%, 60% of our customers were between the age of 18 and 22, right? Most of our marketing we did was towards college kids. They passed a law in California almost overnight. Like, it was just something that just came up where they changed the legal age of smoking from 18 to 21.
Oh man,
Oh man, that was a tough one. Oh, it was
That's
a
got to
huge
impact
impact.
hugely.
Oh, it was a huge
Yeah.
impact. I mean, our expenses stayed the same, the sales dropped immediately.
Of course, like
I mean, we're turning away business every single day, right? And our customers were getting pissed off. A 20-year-old is
but-
saying,
but-
"Hey,
but-
why can't you sell me this pipe? I just shopped here last week."
Yeah,
Hey,
but
man.
they should be aware of the law too, though. No, I mean, being in
mean,
that.
A lot of people maybe weren't aware of that.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're a 19-year-old. You've been purchasing for a year, right? And then all of a sudden the government tells you, "Hey, you can't purchase tobacco products anymore," right?
You know, that's
Yeah, it was a
that's-
really frustrating moment. in our
You know, and that's
business.
the crazy part about it too, is somebody who's 18 can go and fight for your country in the military,
I
right?
know.
And they're legally an adult, but you can't buy cigarettes or like pipes or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
That
it was
doesn't make any sense.
It was they made it to those people could still buy them, but they made it to like people that were turning 18 at a certain age. Those people weren't allowed to buy it.
So there's like a
Exactly.
starting point when that's
So,
going to
for
take
example,
effect.
if I was 18 years old and one day, I would still be able to buy it. It's those new people that happen to be
From
turning.
from after that date.
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly.
No,
That would have been better, right?
Yeah, no, that's what they did.
No, not in that situation.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%. No, it was if you're 19 years old, you cannot
Well,
shop.
There's a big liability that I was taking for a couple of years at 7-Eleven stores.
Oh man.
No, but and then they did something similar just of now that smoke shops are currently in business that are selling vapes and e-juice and stuff. They had the flavor ban, right? And now all those shops got to pivot again.
I know. It's
Right.
like so frustrating to be in a business where like they just keep changing the goalposts.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
and
and then on top of that, I felt like around that time you guys were facing a lot of barriers where a lot of the things that you were carrying, the nicer stuff that like the artists and had and stuff, e-com was not that it wasn't booming, but these guys were started selling direct. Right?
100%.
Right. So the stuff that the cool stuff that you guys had in your shops, right now these artists started to sell directly as well. There was a lot more smoke shops that were converting into head shops.
Yeah.
Right. There were more glass than
More competition for sure.
Yeah. So more
100%.
competition
Yeah.
popped up. People are shipping their pipes selling on eBay. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was just a lot more competition. Your vendors are getting saturated. It's just like, and then the laws are changing on you.
Right.
The walls
and,
are closing
and,
in.
and we saw all these things.
Yeah, and the
happening
walls are closing
before
in.
us.
So let me tell you, from a legal standpoint, I mean, I've worked in different law firms over the years. A lot of times, new regulations sent businesses out of business. Essentially,
Oh,
like
yeah.
they killed entire industries because a new regulation comes out, changes the law, changes whatever how people who have been in business operate, and I've seen entire industries just completely get wiped out. So I can see a law, especially like you said, that's a big part of your demographic, completely no longer available. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
So, in a lot of these other trends that Ahmad was mentioning, and we saw these taking place. So, off the bat, I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I don't see any more growth for myself in this business. And other people are still doing it and doing well, but their business models were different than ours. It's really hard to keep up with payroll when you have a manager plus a full staff and everything like that. A lot of people that own smoke shops now, it's self-run. They work open to close themselves. I mean, it doesn't make a difference for them. So we decided at that point, like, hey, you know what? And me specifically, I'm like, hey, you know what? I need to move on and get into something else.
So walk me through that moment, right when you said, "Hey," I mean, I'm sure you were thinking about it, like
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
especially seeing the law and seeing the impact on sales and whatnot. Something you've probably been discussing, whatever. Talk me through that moment where you decided, "Yes, I'm getting out of this business."
It wasn't like an exact moment. It was just something that I'm like feeling for a period of time. And as I'm feeling these things, I'm looking at, okay, you know what? You do some self-reflection, right? And you think, okay, what do I really want? And something that I've always wanted to get into was real estate development. I mean, that was something since high school. You know, I would see so many of my successful family friends doing that. And that was something that was always in the back of my mind, like, hey, you know what? When I make it, I want to get into real estate, having properties, and investing in that route. And it was so crazy, like the opportunity just kind of fell in my lap. And when the opportunity presented itself, that's when it was kind of like, all right, you know what? I have something else that I can do. Let me sell these stores and move on to the next chapter in my life.
So this opportunity came while you still had the stores.
While I still had the stores.
Got it. So
right?
that's why you knew, hey, this is what I'm going to do next.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
got
yeah.
it.
I mean, you know what? At that point, I was already buried. I was living on my own. I had bills, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not like you can just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to close my stores and not do anything.
Exactly.
You know?
It's different when you have a family, you know,
100%.
and you have people
100%.
depending on you,
Yeah.
you know? So how did that work in terms of the conversation with Hamza and Asif? Because you guys were doing joint efforts in terms of all the different work you're doing, right?
Yeah, so I kind of brought that up to them. I
Mm-hmm.
said, hey guys, this is something that I don't want to do anymore, and I want to move on. And luckily, they felt the same way, you know. And they're like, hey, you know what? This is great. Let's pursue selling the business and moving on. And that's exactly what we did.
Amazing.
You know, it was everybody was kind of on the same page with that.
Good. Yeah.
And for me, even from the beginning, it was like, yeah, you know what? If smoke shops are doing great, you know. But as the years went by, and year 5, 6, and 7, I started feeling like, hey, you know what, this is great for now, but I want to do something different. I want to do something.
You get bored.
Real.
You get bored.
It wasn't really getting bored. It was more, and this isn't a knock on anybody who's in that business or who owns smoke shops or anything like that. I wanted to do something. Gosh, I don't know how to say it without sounding like something offensive. I wanted to do something with like a better reputation too, right? Like owning a smoke shop. Hey, you know what? That's great.
Yeah, I mean, and I
don't feel like that's not a respectable business, but at the same time, I feel like there's other things that you can do that are like you feel a little bit more proud to say. Like it's so funny. It goes back to when I actually first met my father-in-law. He asked me what I did, and I hesitated for a second, right? Because I sell pipes and bongs and things like that, right? So I'm like, I own a smoke shop, and he looked at me, and it's not the same as saying, hey, I am an engineer, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a real estate professional, or whatever it could be, right? And I noticed myself hesitating sometimes when I would tell people what I do, because of the negative connotation that comes along with owning a business that operates in the gray area, right?
But I mean,
so that's just what it is.
I mean, it could be also. I mean, you could say I'm a business owner, right? I mean, you don't have to. Go
Right, but
of course. Yeah, but the next question is, oh, you're a business owner. What do you do, right?
Oh, I sell retail merchandise that assists people.
Yeah, 100%. They're like, all right, this guy's doing something shitty, right? I mean, let's just be real. Yeah, when we would sell pipes, we would say, oh, this is for tobacco use only, and the signs are all over the store. Not a single person ever smoked tobacco out of those pipes.
Who advised you to put those signs all over the place?
No, my lawyer at the time did.
No.
Right? So, I mean, it kind of operates in a gray area, right? And as a Muslim coming from a conservative family, I'm selling pipes that people are smoking weed out of, right? And that's just the reality of it.
No.
So I wanted to do something that was, I don't want to say, use a term more respectable, but it's something that I would be maybe a little bit more proud, telling somebody like, hey, this is what I do. Right.
So, did you have any background in real estate at the time when you made that shift?
Not a day. Not
Really?
a day. So,
and you felt comfortable going into this whole new industry, whole new profession, essentially.
I didn't feel comfortable. That comfortable is the wrong word. But you know what? My whole life, I've always been the type of person where I don't run from shit, when there's a challenge, I like to take it head on. And I've never had any experience with smoke shops either before I got into the smoke shop business.
Sometimes like new challenges, you could look at two ways. No, you could look at like for example, some challenges like either they excite you, right? Yeah, if like for example, like now you're doing real estate, now that's something that you kind of want to do. But you're on the other side, right? Now this career path is the grass is green on the other side, right?
Yeah. Right.
So now you're thinking like, oh shoot, now I'm getting away from retail. Right. I'm entering a different type of industry where you're not dealing with customers, you're not dealing with crazy amount of inventory. You're just like, well, whatever you're getting into.
No, but so you're dealing with a whole different set of
no, you are, but you're thinking of all the negatives that you have currently, and you're reducing those.
100%.
Right? Like you don't want to deal with people robbing you. Right? You're not going to get that in.
But now you're dealing with city inspectors.
Oh, no, you're still dealing with people robbing you. Let me tell you about this.
So going back, like, the grass is greener on the other side, right?
No,
but
it never is.
But it's just more exciting that way. Even though the risks are there, you're like, oh, whatever the risks are there, let me enjoy a little, like.
Well, you know what? I felt like in smoke shops specifically, I felt like I was capped, right? I didn't want to open up more stores because of the law change, right? So it was either going to the wholesale side of the business, which I also felt like wasn't going to be as profitable because stores were suffering at that moment, right? Or I had to move on to something else. And I took the decision like, hey, you know what? I don't have any more growth here. I need to move on to something else. And with real estate, I knew that the opportunity was unlimited, right?
Yeah.
People become billionaires in real estate, right? So the opportunity to work hard and make something of myself and something that I felt, more proud about, I was like, hey, you know what? The opportunity is there. So this was such a interesting way of getting into the business.
Yeah.
Right?
So tell me this. You sell your last store.
I saw my last store.
How much time elapsed before you dove into the real estate market?
Oh, it was almost overlapped immediately. It's so crazy how it played out, right?
So then-
like I had all my stores, right? And I decided, okay, you know what? I'm getting into real estate, and the opportunity was presented to me. I said, okay, I'm committing to this. Within 3 months, my store sold.
Oh, amazing. So
Yeah.
then, what did you do to prepare yourself for the real estate? Did you take any courses? Did you do anything? Did like
Nothing.
YouTube videos?
Nothing.
So,
Nothing.
so you just don't.
I went in completely just blind.
Do you need your general contractor license for this?
Not at that time, no.
Okay.
I have one now.
Oh, you have one now.
I have one now.
Okay.
But no, in that moment, I did not have one. I mean, you need to have multiple years of experience, doing projects. I believe it's 4 years of experience. Doing
Before
a
you can even
project.
apply
Before
for
you
the
can even
GC.
apply. Yeah,
Okay.
and then you take a test and you get it.
So what year was this now that we're now moving into the real estate?
Oh, day one.
What year?
Oh, what year? 2017.
2017. So
Yeah.
now it's been around 6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
What could you before we go into your career, if you could go back and tell yourself something right now from the 6 years of experience, what advice would you give your brand new
Oh
self?
my God.
These are
That's
one of
a
those.
tough one.
These are one of those interview questions.
No,
that
no,
people,
no. I know. You know
Stay in
what?
school.
Yeah.
I know, right? You know what? Nothing is the end of the world. You will find a way. And that's what I would tell myself. Is just in this the way. And I'll tell you the story about this project, and I think it'll help you understand why I said that. This project was kind of presented to me by my father-in-law. Hey, Fahad, I bought this lot. I'm developing it, and I'm having trouble with the city, and some of the neighbors are not too happy about this project, and I'm so busy in my own business, I don't have time to take care of this. You want to get involved? I know you want to get into real estate, so what do you think? And I'm thinking, wow, this is great. It's a nice project. Let's go ahead and get involved. I had no idea what I was getting into, man. I really didn't. The problems that I faced with the city, getting approvals and permits, to the fighting with the neighbors and dealing with them. I wouldn't call it fighting. I wasn't like fighting with them, but dealing with all of their pushback. I learned so much about development, about permitting, about how to build houses, how to deal with neighbors. That was one of the hardest things that I've ever been through in my life.
Looking back at that one with all the knowledge you know now, right? I'm sure you would have done so many different things differently, right?
Oh, 100%.
Did you feel like there was moments where your lack of experience were being taken advantage of?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I would not have given in as much as I did. At the end of the day, I try to be a nice person and a good person and try to keep it good with everybody, right? But at a certain point, we have rights as property owners, as human beings, on what we should deal with and what we shouldn't deal with. And at the end of the day, it was crazy because that whole street banded together to fight these developers, us, from building houses on their street.
Well, isn't that counter to their own interests?
Oh, 100%. So when we ended up completing the project, everybody on the street's property values probably went up by almost $500,000.
So why would they fight that in the first place?
I don't know.
Is it how many years is it of construction, blocking streets?
Right. And
Right.
I
There
think
are
all of
some
those
nuances.
things, right?
And
Absolutely. And in any construction project, those are all things that are going to happen. There's going to be noise. There's going to be dust. There's going to be some sort of inconvenience to you, but that can't legally stop you from doing that. And that was our position.
Exactly.
Like I said, everybody on the street was against us,
And-
except this one woman who owned a house on the end of the street. And just to tell you a little bit about this project, the width of the street was very narrow. There's parking on both sides of the street. And it would have been impossible for us to build on this lot, which was on a slope, on a hillside, and get all of our heavy machinery, heavy equipments, our cranes, our drilling machines, everything to do our foundation work. But this woman believed in that. She believed that we had the right to build on that street, and although it would be a nuisance, she believed that our right was more important than the neighbor's inconvenience. And it's so funny. If she took the side of the neighbors and all of our neighbors, we would have lost millions of dollars.
But I mean, you still
But
have a right
she-
to build, though.
Yeah, but
to
but
do
let
so,
me tell you exactly what
getting it
happened.
done. Getting it done.
Getting it done was almost impossible. But she gave us permission to put no parking signs in front of her house, which gave us enough space for our heavy machinery to get through this narrow street and into our lot to build. If she said no, we would have been done. We would have lost probably $3 million on that project. But
Yeah.
somehow she gave us the okay, and we got this project done.
And she got
It was a successful project. The neighbors' values probably went up
And
by over $500,000.
exactly, and she got her property value
Oh,
up by
man.
500,000.
You have no idea what I went through on
Oh
this project.
God,
man.
no. So I mean, as you know, we built a custom house ourselves too,
Yeah.
right? And it was so funny because I mean, obviously, all of our neighbors were completely happy with it. They're like, "Oh, fantastic! Property values are going to go up,
Right.
right?" And then it was so funny because one of our neighbors across the street, they started a small little project where they're like changing their fence, you know. And then I walked by, and go, "Hey, I'm going to do a noise complaint on them because after I just went through building a whole house, you know." She obviously knew I was joking, but it's just insane that people would fight something. I mean, first of all, cities have rules for that very reason.
Oh,
There's
100%.
times that you can build, right? You can't start super early while people are sleeping, and you can't be super late, you know.
Right.
So as long as you're following the codes or the laws of the city, I mean, it should be right, okay, you know.
Yeah, and you would think that common sense would prevail, but it's insane that people that are well off, that have the time, that what they're willing to do and what they're willing to go through to get their way. Out of all the neighbors, and every single one had their complaints and did what they did. I would say 80% of them did it in a professional way, where at the end of the day, you still have some sort of respect for them because of the way they conduct themselves. This one lady that was living across the street, and I'm not going to say her name,
Yeah.
was the true definition of the term Karen. The true definition.
You know, if you recorded all of your interactions, you'd be viral right now.
Oh,
you know,
my
like
God.
all of that
100%.
footage would be gold right now.
100%. And in fact, I do have some footage.
Oh.
But I'm not that kind of
Exclusive to the Fresh
guy.
Drive
Oh, my
podcast,
God.
everybody.
I'm telling you. I mean, she was a crazy stalker lady. She found my social media. She would message me the craziest things. One of the messages she sent me was, "Hey, Fahad, instead of building a house, what you should do as a good human being is build a park for the community, maintain it at your own expense, and let us all enjoy it, rather than you building two of these McMansions that you are planning on proposing." I mean, every single day, this woman would come out and scream at the workers, racist terms. We do not want to hear this mariachi music and this and that. I mean, this lady was batshit crazy. But you know what? These are some of the things that you have to deal with as a developer. And this was one of the worst scenarios. I mean, you have a small street where it's hard to access.
Mm-hmm.
You're building on a hillside, and you're fighting against every single neighbor. And in the beginning, it was extremely intimidating. I mean, as somebody who has zero experience in
And this was your first project.
This is my first project. I had meetings with the congressman of our district about this project. I mean, that is how high it went up.
They threw you into the deep end right
Oh,
away.
man. And you know what? It's sink or swim.
Yeah.
And I am not that kind of guy, man. I will not run from a fight. And all my boys that know me know that. That is not who I am.
Yeah.
You throw something at me, and I'm ready to fight back, and I am not ready to take that L, because I've taken an L in my first cell phone business. I am not ready to take that L. So I fought, and I fought, and I fought. And I got my permits. And then they found a way through their lawyers for me to get my permits canceled, and I had to go back to plan check. And I went through the process again, and I got my permits again. And we built that project, we finished it, we sold it, and it was a good, profitable project.
Celebrated.
And it was one of those situations where at the end of the day, you look back and you think, damn, was it worth it, right? Of all the shit that I went through. And there's two ways to look at it. One way you could think is, okay, you know what, this project took 4 years to complete, you know? Was it
4
worth
years?
it? 4 years of fighting and
Insane.
Yeah, I know. And
How much of that was due to the delay caused by the neighbors?
2 years.
2 years just
2 years.
attributed to neighbor
100%.
delay.
100%. But it was either that or we lose $3 million and the lots are worthless, right?
Exactly. Of course.
it was a do or die situation, and we had to step up to the plate and do what we had to do.
But you know, again, it goes back to this is counter to those neighbors. These neighbors would have been done 2 years earlier.
Logic doesn't play into their minds,
Right? I mean, instead of dealing with all the construction for 4 years period.
This was something that I brought up to them in the meeting in the beginning. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey guys, look, when we're done, your property values are going to go up. What are you upset about?
Yeah. What was your response to that?
You won't believe it. They didn't respond to that. They just went on to their objections. Oh, you're going to be doing construction. You have heavy machinery coming in. What times are you bringing it in? You know, we have schools in the area that are let out at 2:00. Are you going to be bringing machinery in at that time? What time are you starting construction? Where are those machines going to be? Where are your workers going to be parking? I mean, every little detail. Their exact goal was, we want to keep that lot open for our own use. Let me tell you, our next door neighbor on the left, he built a shed on the property, and
On your property?
on our property, he planted his own trees that were causing shade into his lot. So everybody had their own agenda.
So how
they
nice-
They didn't want. Everybody had their own idea of what they wanted to
They
do
could
with
use
that.
that parking spot.
So
Exactly.
how great of a feeling was it when you had to tear that shed down or tear those trees down
Man,
off of your
you
property?
won't believe it. It was such a good feeling. You know, when you face some opposition and you finally prevail, that feeling of success is unimaginable, right? You're
Yeah.
fighting and you're fighting and you're doing what's right for yourself. And in life, it's kind of like an analogy for life, right? Because anything you do, there are people that are with you and there are people that are against you, you know? And people always try to shut you down in the real world, no matter what you're trying to do. Like, Ahmad, you're doing beef jerky, right? You're out there, and maybe when you first started, you had all your close friends are like, hey, you know what? We're with you, brother. We're buying your jerky. We're with you. But there's also other people that are telling, yo, this thing is whatever.
The packages isn't
Yeah,
right.
yeah, this isn't right. That's not right. The marketing
You
isn't
should be
right.
selling here.
Exactly, right?
They-
So
it should
Everybody's
have-
got an opinion about
Yeah.
something.
It shouldn't
Yeah.
have that
And-
much sugar. It should be healthy.
100%. And now look at you.
Yeah.
You know, now you have different brands that are coming out. You're doing deals with the Nelk Boys. You're doing deals with in Vegas with Chumley, right? So you must feel amazing because of that, right? All the opposition that was against you, and then all of a sudden you're
Well, it's
you're,
about
you're pushing
pivoting,
through.
right? It's about
Yeah.
pivoting,
So-
and then like you went from cell phone to smoke shops to real estate and your future ventures.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that stepping up is just having fun, just having more fun with what you're doing daily,
Yeah.
and at the same time, like, yeah, you're gonna have to make money off it because you gotta pay bills.
Right.
Why not enjoy what you're doing?
100%.
And then and then everything I'm doing now, if it really doesn't fall under could I sleep at night? Right? Am I doing it legally? First of all, and then and the other thing, staying focused, right? If you're not being focused on what your end goal is, whether it's with one business or another business, you just have to stay focused on what your end goal is, and like whether it's pivoting, whether it's taking like more tests, more certifications like MBA or whatever it is as long as you have a clear goal where you want to get to, just keep working. You're gonna fall and climb a ladder here, fall.
100%.
You know, I call it. I mean, I'm a perfect example for like they call it failing forward.
No,
right?
absolutely,
Yeah,
man.
I'm like a perfect example of that because I'll like fail at one thing, but the next thing will take me that much further. I'll fail at one thing, about the next thing will take me that much further.
So basically, I mean, all of these failures are leading to more success, right? So
I mean, in life, we're always going to face challenges, right? Whether it's some crazy neighbors that want to stop a project, or the city that is, pushing back against you, and we just have to just do whatever we can to just push back and achieve our goals. And in that situation, I wasn't ready to take that L, man. I had the responsibility to finish this project, to get it going. The whole point I was brought in was because there's problems and I needed to overcome. And I had to overcome every objection, every hurdle, and make it happen. And there was no ifs, ands, or buts. There was no other choice. And when you're faced with that, you just have to do it. And it was one of the best things that could have happened to me. I was faced with one of the most difficult projects that you can do in development, right?
Yeah.
And I learned. I was forced to learn. It's either sink or swim, right?
Yeah.
And because of that project, I am who I am today. And every project I've done since then has been easy because of that experience.
So
I know how to deal with neighbors. I know how to deal with the city. I know how to deal with everything.
Exactly. Now you're prepared to handle
absolutely.
anything, especially after that was your first project.
I mean, you go through hell, right?
Yeah.
And then when you're not in hell, it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah.
So
and when that problem does come around, you know exactly how to handle it.
Yeah, and since then I've developed over $40 million in projects that we've sold.
amazing.
And I never imagined this. We're finishing a project right now. We're listing it for $21 million.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? So all of those things that I went through in that time, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, what the hell did I get myself into?
Yeah.
And now that I've gone out of it, I'm working with the biggest developers in West LA, doing amazing projects, and my company is doing better than ever. So it's amazing.
No, you're getting the bags. You know, it's a good time to probably talk about the fee for the sponsorship.
Oh, let's go. So thank God. You know, it's like when you're going through that type of thing, you're thinking, why me? But now that I'm out of it, I'm like, thank you, God, for putting me through that situation, because now I am who I am because of that. And I think that's something that I've learned from. And, you know, whoever's listening to this, if you're going through something that you feel like, damn, why am I going through this? Just know that it's going to make you stronger. And when you get out of it, you're going to be a better person and better at what you're doing because of it. You know, that's just...
No, a great advice.
Yeah.
So Fahad, what's next for you?
Well, I'm going to continue. My company is expanding. We're doing more developments in LA.
So are you doing more simultaneously or what?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're doing more simultaneously. We're doing larger projects and larger developments, and that's what I want to continue doing.
And are you exclusively in the West LA area? Or are you expanding maybe towards Orange County at all? Or
no? I'm in Beverly Hills, Brentwood, Pacific Palisades. That's kind of like the market that I'm working in. Besides that, I've also opened up a payment processing company with my wife's cousin.
Oh, awesome.
Tell
us a little about that.
Okay, so my partner Ramiz, Sasha's cousin, he's been in the business for about 17 years. We decided to do this a few months back, and he's been doing amazing. I came in as an investor. And
what's the name of the company?
Optimum Payments.
Optimum Payments?
So we do credit card processing for any type of business. So
Okay.
if you have credit card processing...
7-Elevens and Cold Stones very soon.
Oh, 100%, yeah. So, and this is another thing too. Again, when we started the podcast, I told you I'm a very lucky guy.
Mm-hmm.
I really am. And it's not just my family that's supportive of me; it's my friends. You know, one of the first people I called and talked to about this was Ahmad, and this is the type of friend you want. We spent almost an hour after I told him, hey, this is what I'm doing. We spent almost an hour of Ahmad explaining to me, hey, Fahad, this is how I can help you in this business.
Amazing, yeah.
You know, and you know, when you're starting a new business again, you're thinking, hey, you know what? These are all the things that I need to do. This is what could go wrong. This is what could happen. And when you have a friend that supports you and tells you, hey, look, this is how I can help you. It gives you motivation. It gets you excited, and if you have friends that are not like that, then you need to change your friends.
Yeah, of
You know what I
course.
mean? So this is what I'm doing, and Ramis has been doing an amazing job. He's picking up accounts, and we're expanding that business too.
So what exactly do you need? Do you need more businesses too? I mean, how do you expand this business?
So in the beginning, what we did was we were just reaching out to friends and family and letting them know, like, hey, look, this is what we're doing. And then other than that, we do marketing. We have incoming calls. So we market to businesses, brand new businesses that are opening, or we'll market to businesses offering lower rates, and they'll call in, and our sales team will basically sell them our programs. We have many different programs for all different types of businesses. We sell all different types of terminals. We sell all different types of programs. And our sales pitch is either A, we save you money off the current program that you have, or we offer a different type of program that is available that will, of course, save you money. That's pretty much what it is. At the end of the day, when you're a business owner, you have many expenses, right? You have all these different types of overheads, and as a business owner, you're thinking, hey, how can I stay lean? How can I save money and increase my profits? And we're here to help customers do that.
Awesome. Do you guys have a website?
It's in construction right now.
Okay.
OptimumProcessor.com.
The link will be in the bio.
Thank you so much. I had to shout it out.
No, of course.
Yes. So that is a new venture that I'm doing, and at the end of the day, when you're working, you have to have a team.
Yes.
Right. And I've been very fortunate to meet people to create a good, solid team. In my real estate business, I have a good team. I have a partner in that business as well as a list of subcontractors that I work with that are solid. Again, in the payment processing business, same thing. My partner is somebody that I trust. So that's what you need in life too, is you have a team that you can work with, that you can grow with, and everybody has the same goal, and you grow together, and
awesome.
that's the end goal.
Yeah,
that's so crazy, man. I'm just like sitting here and we're talking about this, and where we started and where we're at now, it just trips me out.
Yeah.
Ahmad and I were talking earlier about a picture that we took, and it was Halloween, and we were dressed as cops. Yeah. What was that?
A Reno 911.
A Reno 911.
Yeah.
We're dressed as this, and we're just partying and having a good time, and where we're at today, and it kind of took me back a little bit, and it's special to me because we've shared in so many different experiences, and it's crazy to think where we started and where we came from, and how we're still close and friends, and it's special to me.
I mean, besides that, like, I feel like we're like accomplishing like some cool goals, right? Like, it's not the traditional route, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just because it'll come to a question when I ask you later, like, what would you rather do? Would you go the traditional route or would you entrepreneurship route? I'll ask that question later, but it's just cool to see, like, a lot of my friends, like including you, your brother, like Ali, Asif, May, everybody else, like, we're doing different things, right? Like, it's just like we're exploring, we're doing, like, breaking different grounds kind of thing, but at the same time, we're having fun with it. And like, we're able to enjoy it rather than a traditional 9 to 5 kind of thing as well.
Yeah, well, it's some days I think, wow, I made the right decision, and then some days, I have a conversation with Mahroze, and he tells me about his amazing perks.
Oh yeah, not at all. That's why I'd rather have a 9 to 5. Yeah,
and I'm like, oh man, that travel expense budget sounds really good right now.
2 questions before you leave. First question: if you were to go back, right, would you take the traditional route or the entrepreneur route?
Oh, I don't think I would change a thing, man. I really wouldn't change a thing. My journey has been amazing. It is who I am, and no, I wouldn't change it.
You don't want maternity leave as well?
Maybe.
I had like 6 months off.
That does sound amazing. Yeah. But you know what, man? This is something like, and it's so funny, right? Because Sasha was just saying this the other day. She was like, yeah, whenever you start something new and you're getting into new things, you truly seem happy, and it's true. The type of person I am, when I'm doing something new and I'm doing something that excites me, right? I'm truly happiest.
Yeah,
right?
and I love that.
So
thing.
I wouldn't change it,
Yeah.
you know, because everybody's different and everybody has different things. This is who I am, you know. I guess my main thing from today and talking about today is whoever listens to me, I just want them to know. You're gonna go through shit in life, right? Whether if you're especially if you're an entrepreneur,
and I think
you're gonna go through some bullshit.
You told me, your brother told me, to make it to for a real successful person, you're not gonna make it until you have your first bankruptcy.
Oh,
right. I'm messing the code.
I mean, you try. You don't want to do that.
No.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I hear about a true entrepreneur or a true businessman is not until you had a bankruptcy.
You gotta have at least 3 bankruptcies.
Oh, baby. Yeah. Well, no. I don't agree with that statement. You definitely want to avoid that.
Maybe that was your brother. It's basically meaning like. I mean, you did have almost, right, with your cell phone store.
Oh, well,
right?
I mean, that wasn't a bankruptcy. That was just a failure.
It's a failure, right?
Yeah,
but I believe it's a metaphor, right?
Yeah.
Meaning, like, lose everything. Right. And you're scratching from zero and being able to come back from
100%,
that. Yeah. Second question. 15 years, smoke shop, right? Real estate. Now, 5 years from now, where are you going to be?
Wow. 5 years from now, I want to.
For example, what I always do is, I don't necessarily have a goal that at X I'm gonna be this, and this.
Mm.
I aim for the stars in 5 years, and if I land on a cloud, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
That's my perspective. So my 5-year goals are probably, if I tell you guys, oh, it's like, that cannot happen.
Yeah.
Unreal. No.
What's your 5-year goal?
I'll save that for the episode because again, people won't believe it, right? But the way that I'm thinking is, 5 years, if I'm shooting for the stars and I land on a cloud, that cloud, I'll be happy with the cloud, and it's just as amazing,
I'm asking you can't leave the people at the cliffhanger like this.
We'll say that for the next episode.
Ooh, hey, we'll make that part of the subscription plan. Behind the scenes access.
That'll be on the Rumble and our Patreon.
I don't know if I have a 5-year game plan, but I really admire my dad. Everything that he's accomplished in his life, I look at him and I think, wow, and I want to do something that my kids look at me that way too. It was different when I started the smoke shops. It was all about money and this and that. I want my kids when they grow up to look at me and admire me too.
Yeah,
and that's something that I really want.
And I mean, again, from hearing your stories, I can totally get that, because when we grew up, we heard about your dad's family, and your family building this great empire in electric light bulbs, I believe, right? From not only just selling it, but actually patenting it, creating a new technology, manufacturing it out of the country, becoming the hugest distributor. You know what I mean? We heard these stories from you guys, right? And it just made us think of your family, oh my God, you guys accomplished so much, and it kind of said us oh, you guys could do this. You guys are Pakistani, fuck, we could do this too.
Right. No, I mean,
it's inspirational.
It's true. No,
It's inspirational.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, kind of what you mentioned, as your kids get older, you can show them the different houses that you built, and you're like, hey, this was me, like you said, you listed one of those for 21 million or 22 million, I'm sure it's a fantastic house, and I'm sure when they see that, they're like, hey, my dad was responsible for that,
and that's something that I'm really proud of, and something that I want them to look at and be like, hey, you know what, my dad did that, and I hope it motivates them to be something, whatever they want to do. I have no expectations of that, but I do want them to look at me and think, oh, you know what, I'm proud of my dad for what he's done and what he's worked hard for and what he's accomplished, and that is my goal.
No, awesome.
Yeah. I mean, monetary wise, I want to continue to grow my development business. I want to continue to grow my payment processing business, and God willing, they will both continue to grow and be great. But the admiration of my kids is number one. I really hope that I can earn that.
Awesome. Well, with that note, I think we're gonna wrap up.
Quickly before we end.
Sure.
I know we had our first podcast. We had our first episode with you, Kumar, my brother, and that. But I think at this point, we need to talk a little about you. So, why don't you tell us about yourself? And you did talk about how this is your hobby and a little bit discovering your passion and things like that.
Sure.
But let's talk about what your journey was here, because unlike us and a couple other people, not Humir, but
Yeah.
we've taken like different approaches in this life. But I feel like we all envy you, your lifestyle. So why don't you tell us?
No, man.
Everybody's favorite lawyer.
No,
Yeah.
man. Well, yeah, I mean, lawyer. I've been a lawyer since 2009. So I've taken the more of the traditional route, kind of what you guys have been talking about, right? In terms of, hey, approaching a career, not so much business oriented. My family is definitely involved with businesses. They're franchisees as well. And I've seen their extremely hard work in that. I mean, especially with 7-Eleven, it's a 24-hour business, and there's so many stories and things that I get scared of for my parents. Like people robbing them and stuff like that. And just seeing the struggle that goes with the business, especially a 24-hour business. Ahmad, right? I guess that just scares the heck out of me. And I'm like, man, I wanted to stay away from that as much as possible, just being able to cut off from the working world at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whenever it is, and just being able to focus on leisurely activities. I guess I kind of taken a shift, especially in my career, focusing more on things that make me happy, right? Of course we all have to grind, we all have to provide for our family, but I've had friends who've passed away, family members who've passed away, and that's really kind of woken me up in terms of, hey, life is too short, right? You can just completely put your head down into work and grinding, but life's just going to pass you by, right? So I've taken the approach of, hey, work hard, of course, but definitely have fun too while you're doing it, so for me, this podcast, this hanging out with you guys and talking, it's fun, right? And it's dated back to, I think, when this first time I got a digital camera, right? And making a video of my roommate, shout out Raymond just making a video, and it was just literally like taking videos of him and throwing an Alicia Keys song right behind it, and that was it. And some people online thought he passed away because I did a video. Like, why would somebody record and put a sad song on this guy who's still alive?
Why'd you put his birthday and an exclamation?
No, so I mean, it started with that, and from there I just with different basketball teams I've had.
We remember
the shows, the plays.
And then we had that one basketball ceremony at your house, the dollar menu.
Oh, yes. Speaking of which, we probably have to record some part of the documentary for that. No, I mean, and so video editing, and I mean, and if I could have made a career out of that, I mean, it's just so hard to get into that business in the first place, right? And this was always just kind of like a hobby. I'm not anywhere close to being really good at it.
And we made like funny, not funny,
skits,
but like skits that we thought were funny.
So I've always just enjoyed that as like a fun pastime, So, and we're in 2023 right now, right? So I mean, podcasting and videos and doing skits are like the hot craze right now. So I was like, hey, what better way to do this, So essentially just.
But it's also cool, is like, we're talking about business, but we're sharing stories that we've had.
Yeah.
And how dope is it? Like, probably 10 years, right? If we watch this again, right? To hear these crazy stories and things like that. It's like time stamping it, right?
No, 100%. And
time stamping it.
No, exactly. And that's why I was like, hey, you know what? We're gonna record stories with our friends. And like you said, we'll watch it again in 10, 15 years or 20, 30 years. And how fun is it going to be to look back at this moment, and just like our conversation.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. We are going to get some celebrities on here too.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, hey.
Yeah. The list is long. We got, what do you want to say? We got Chumley coming.
Ooh.
We got Kenneth Freed coming.
Ooh.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, we got a few people coming on, but
we'll get a few Nelk boys coming. We get the owners of Happy Dad in here.
So I mean, and like I said, like for me, this is just a passion, a hobby. If it takes off, fantastic, and if it doesn't, and if it's just 10 views, I'm okay with it.
And for me, I want a dope ass studio, and I want to stay the car equipment. That way, we could do this full time and have a jungle ball. Basketball court in the back. And again, to do this and just have fun doing it, and of course make a couple of bags so we could just do more fun stuff. That's it.
100%. I mean, slowly things are. I mean, we got the podcast equipment. Slowly, the whole setup is getting better with each step. We
have Amtran coming up, who's going to upgrade all the furnishings.
Ooh, Amtran! Shout out Sean Malik.
Right? We have car trackers coming in, who are going to be upgrading both mine and Mahroze's vehicle. Right? Below Invoice, they sell new cars at amazing prices.
Ooh, Amada, I think one of their competitors is actually sponsoring us now. Hey, shout out Irfan.
Imperial Train Links.
Ooh, yes. Oh, man. No, so, I mean,
I'm a unique auto guy.
It's just finding the best thing, the positive impact in your life, and honestly also finding hobbies that you enjoy doing too, so that's one of the reasons why I launched this podcast, because one, I love video editing, and honestly this has been so much fun just to hang out and talk to our friends, and it's been really enjoyable to hear your story too, Fahad, and you've been doing great things. Ahmad, obviously, your family over here, so I love seeing. I mean, here, just shout out to Supreme Beef Jerky. We got some flavors out here.
Yeah, our first official sponsor, Fresh Jive. They cost a lot, but we were willing to put in the money and know where the podcast is going. And then
promo code Fresh Jive Podcast on SupremeBeefJerky.com.
Correct. And then it's a good time to blast our second sponsor for this episode.
When you launch your website, make sure you have a place for promo codes. Fresh Jive Podcast.
100%.
I don't know what type of discount we're going to offer. But no, honestly, Fahad, since we met, honestly, I didn't know being honest with you, I didn't know our friendship would be the way it is right now. And meeting you on the basketball court and just, exchanging, I wouldn't think, gosh, 15 years later, where we are right now, that you'd be sitting here in the garage and we'd be talking about your life.
Man.
You emceed my wedding.
Yeah.
And I definitely value your friendship, and I'm really happy to have you on the podcast and just kind of explore your life and what you've been doing. And I appreciate you being so open about everything and talking about all of your experiences.
I'm an open book, man, and it's really been a pleasure being friends, brothers, family with you and Ahmad. These last 15 years have been very special to me, and it's crazy because it's not just me and you that are friends. Our wives are friends, our kids are friends, and it's something that's very special.
Yeah, and I just want to add one thing. I mean, like I said, we've known each other for so long. So when Fahad got married, that's when I got married. When Fahad opened up his first business, that's when I went to put up first business. When Fahad pivoted, I probably pivoted. So Fahad's always been leading the way for all of us,
Yeah.
And then also our big brother Mahroze as well.
That's the beauty of it, right? Like as brothers, we just feed off of each other, right? Yeah. And that's just all it is. And like I said earlier, my first call when I talked to you, how literally for an hour you told me, hey man, this is how I can help you. And that's just what brothership is all about.
Yeah, and it's not fakeness, right? Where I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, do these things. But when we talked about it, and that we talked about why it wouldn't work and why it does work,
right?
Where I could really help you, or I really cannot help you.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, part of that is being honest with each other.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there's no point in wasting his time and my time. Or we're just BSing for no reason, right?
We're past that.
Exactly, yeah. So at this point, it's cool to have perspective. I talk to you, I talk to May, I talk to Ali and Asif. I talk to your brother, and I talk to your brother-in-law. I talk to Hamza about design, just because I could go to them with the best ideas and the worst ideas, knowing that you guys will give me an honest opinion,
right.
And then whether I choose to take it or not, that's up to me. No, we appreciate you having on there, man. We appreciate you having us on here.
No, of course. And honestly, both of you guys, I'm from an outside perspective, I've loved seeing you guys succeed, and everything you guys have both done in your respective industries and whatnot. Honestly, I'm proud of both of you guys. You guys are brothers to me. Hopefully, our viewers get to learn more about everybody here. I mean, and Fahad, we'd definitely love to have you come back on.
No, man, it was really fun.
And also, please don't think of this as, hey, this is your one episode, your episode 2, and that's
baby.
it. If we can have you come back on, we'd love to have you on. Ahmad is
It
going
was
to
so much fun, man.
Ahmad, hopefully you're a regular as well too. You know, we want you to be a co-host out here. You know, so. No, but definitely loved having you on, both of you guys. So we want to definitely see you guys come back on, and hopefully everybody enjoyed this podcast.
Right.
Let's go, baby. Fight till the end.